content we was discussing was on attitude of NLP, and that too attitude in the context of NLP, where we discussed three major attitudes. Can someone recollect or recall, recite at least the key three terms?
Attitude of learning,
Yeah.
curiosity,
Yeah, curiosity, exactly.
experimentation,
Experimentation.
discovery, like experimentation you are going to discover,
Okay.
and willingness to re-examine our premises.
This is all comes under experimentation. There is
Yes.
one more very important thing we discussed in the last part of our discussion on last Sunday, where we took most of the time on that also.
Acting as if without information.
Acting as if without information, because in NLP there is no like anything like total certainty, and we always have to sometimes work with total uncertainty and active as if there is results information and all those things. Thank you so much, Purnima ma'am. So with this, I will skip those slides and we would go on to today's components. Okay. So we stopped there actually. I'll just browse around the slides so that you can have a recap of what we discussed. So these are the three attitudes we discussed. Curiosity like a child. And if there is a failure, you should experiment yourself and try to understand how do you fail and why do you fail. Then this image I showed you, that there will be a plant, and in rotation you will be seeing an image of a woman. So acting as if there is information. So proceed positive. We need to create a generative change. So generative change is something we should trigger on and change. So this is where we left in the last class. So with your all your permission, I'll mute my video. Then I will proceed with today's content. Okay. Like the last two sessions, we will make it very interactive. We will share our mutual experiences with each other and then try to understand what is this context is all about and all those things, for which your contribution and your experiences and your interactions are highly solicited. So kindly make this session lively as we did it in the last two sessions. Fine? Right. So we will start with a small activity. There is a picture I have shown you here in the screen. Okay. You can write a small story based on this picture. Not necessary to write. If you are an impromptu speaker, when I ask you for, you can immediately tell your story. But for others to take some time, I'll give you 4 minutes time, 4 to 5 minutes time. Just think of a story, not the representation of the picture. Don't say there is a man lying down and there is a woman standing by the wall, there is a bed. That is a representation of what is there in the picture. I want a story to be created. Okay. So the more interesting the story is, it will be very exciting to hear from you. So after 5 minutes, so it is 3:05. By 3:10, we can start sharing our stories. Okay. If you want to take down short notes, you can take, or if you want to cook up everything in your mind and just tell the story, that is also well. But present something interesting and exciting.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Ruby ma'am. Shall we give time for others?
5 minutes.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
5 minutes, I should say.
Yeah,
Okay,
after
okay,
five
sir.
minutes you could chat. There is only 4 minutes left. So by 3:10, we can start sharing our stories. Stories based on this image, which I have presented in the screen. Okay? not mere descriptions, stories. Before that, I forgot to check. Is my voice and all those things is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Clear, clear.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. If you are all ready, we need not wait till 3:10,
Yes, sir.
even now. Yes, Ruby ma'am.
I can start.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Sir, I can see somebody is not well on the bed. Maybe this lady's brother or husband or father. She is crying and she's worried about the patient who is not well. And she's trying to control herself and thinking like what to do now. She's trying to open a door and go out and discuss with someone whom she trusts and feels that she can share her feelings about the patient.
Fine. Thank you so much for that
That's it from my
interesting.
side.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much for your interesting story.
Shall I
I
tell the
think,
story?
yeah, Purnima ma'am, please go ahead.
This is a beautiful house or a home of husband and wife. Husband is sleeping. Husband's birthday is there early morning. So the wife gets up to celebrate his birthday at 12 o'clock. She wants to go to washroom and get freshen herself and come and say happy birthday to you at 12 o'clock. When she comes to open the door, she was feeling little sleepy. So she covers her face little. And
Out
I
of
think,
blush, actually.
yes,
Okay.
out of blush, she's newly married and she wants to celebrate his birthday. So she's preparing for that and she's blushing herself and husband is peacefully sleeping and she is getting ready to celebrate his birthday so that there is lot of joy and love and passion in the house and lot of positive energy she wants to bring. She's a newly married woman. That is what I see in this picture, sir.
That is what not you see, that is what you perceive from this.
I perceive, sir. I
Yeah,
perceive.
right.
Correct, sir.
Exactly. A very interesting and exciting story. This is the kind I expected. We would have two more, then we would move on to the concept which we are trying to learn from this exercise. Two more persons. Can you share up yours? I hear a can I, but I
Can
don't
I?
know. Who's
Shruti
that?
Desai,
Shruti.
madam.
Yeah, yeah, please, ma'am.
Yes. Sir, what I perceived was that I'll tell my story. Alan and Meg loved each other a lot. Alan
Okay.
lived away for his job, and Meg looked after everything. She was at home. She looked after the house. She looked after the kids. She looked after everything in his absence. And Meg has just discovered that she is suffering from a terminal illness,
Right.
and she doesn't tell this to her husband so that he should not be worried and he should not collapse. So she is hiding it from him. He has come for the weekend. He has come home for the weekend, and it is night. They have talked a lot. He has so many dreams about their future. He has decided to shift them to the place where he is living for his job, and now he has prepared everything for that. He has done all the preparations. He has rented a house so that he can shift his family there, and he is full of dreams, full of plans for the future. And while talking to her, while sharing his plans, everything, and actually he is tired because he has done his office and then he has come home, so he is tired and he is sleeping. She listens to everything, she shows interest, and then as soon as he sleeps, she doesn't sleep. She can't sleep actually because she knows that his dreams are not going to come true. She is suffering from a terminal illness, and she comes out from there so that uh, she wants to cry. She wants to vent her emotions, and so that he should not wake up from his sleep and from his happy sleep and happy dreamy sleep. She's
Ex-
coming out of the room and she is crying over there.
extraordinarily interesting. Final, one
এটা
more.
দেখে স্টোরি বলবো
All
দেখে কি মনে হয় না অনেকটা
female,
interesting
any gentleman out there to share a story, or though it is a lady out there to share a story is perfectly okay. One more,
দাঁড়াও, আমি একটা কাজ করছি
and then we will move on.
আরে দাঁড়ান না, পরে ক্লিক কাটে গেছে
Anybody?
তুই জান না যে আমি এটা শুনে আসছি দু একদিন বাকি আছে এখন জানবো
Can I, sir?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
I can perceive from the picture that the person who is lying on bed means this is they both are staying in the home, and the person seems to be ill, and the lady doesn't want to show her emotions in front of him, that she is afraid of his illness and she is afraid of losing him, and because she wants to give him support, and that's why she is hiding her emotions from him, and she comes out and she cries so that he should stay strong. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, okay, we will move on to the concept for which we discussed this. Most of the persons who teach OB and HR and in general management, you will be knowing this is a kind of personality test. Can anyone guess what test it is that? It is called the TAT test.
Thematic appreciation test.
Test. Okay, fine. So, what is the purpose for it is done for?
To know the attitude and personality of the people.
Personality and even the perception of the people,
Perception
like
of
how different it is. Okay, so I would like you to remember the Brandler's definition, where he has done a lot of significant works in the area of NLP. So he has talked about NLP, saying that NLP is all about covering three aspects. One is the attitude, the second aspect is the modeling, and third aspect is a technique, actually. Okay, so in attitude we discussed the type of attitudes, what is that attitude he means in the context of NLP, which is curiosity, then experimentation, willingness to discover, then finally actingness. Those are the three attitudes. Now we are coming to the modeling part of what he means by that, actually. So modeling is nothing but in the dissection of the word NLP, we discussed about neuro, what is neuro, and linguistic, what is linguistic, and programming, what is programming. So modeling is all about the linguistic and programming part in the neuro-linguistic programming. So what is this linguistic? To give it in a simple word, we used a particular word, right? Giving meaning and coding, actually. We code and we give a meaning. And programming is how we give that particular meaning and how we then store it in our mind and exhibit the outcome. So this is what we discussed by L and P, this linguistic and programming. So that is what he means by modeling here, actually. So the point of this asking you to do a story is to tell you how your thought processes, how your filtration processes, and how you represent the world around you are different according to your linguistic and programming method. See, same input is presented to you all, right? But the methodology and the modeling process you have used is something different. The filter patterns, how did you take into the various components in the input? The input is the picture I gave you. Okay, so your through your sensory inputs, you have taken those picture inside your mind, processed it, and came out with a story. But you see, the same picture, how different people have processed differently. If I go dig deeper into somebody else's story also, it will come out also nicely. In another occasion where this program was delivered, somebody told a story that this particular gentleman was being killed by that lady, and the lady later repents for killing that gentleman and all those things. And somebody said something interesting, like he has been tired after what you call a lot of hunting and all those things. Then he is sleeping, and before he goes to bed, he just kisses his wife, and because of that, she is laughing out of this blush and all those things. So the point here to understand is, though it is the same kind of sensory inputs which we are presented with, the way we model it is different. Okay, and why it is different? Because each and every of us has have our own filter patterns to take what sensory inputs to get into, then how to process that sensory inputs, and we have our own strategies of coming out with our own thoughts. Okay, so this is the modeling part of it. And finally, Brandler told, when you take up this attitude and when you do this modeling, you will come out with techniques which are nothing but the NLP techniques actually. So there are many NLP techniques which I will be sharing you in the material. As I told you in the last session when we discussed, it is difficult to practice certain techniques even live. I mean, when we are physically there, so it takes a lot of time, and you need to be in a complete isolated environment, completely focused and all those things. And there should not also be any noise feedback from my end also. Unfortunately, I'm sitting in front of a fan, so there will be a noise, so that I don't think you will be able to concentrate. So we will be discussing certain techniques. I will give it to you in the material. Practice those techniques. That will be the outcome. So Brandler's definition of NLP is very simple. He said NLP is a set of attitudes you need to possess, and with that attitude, you would be able to come out with this modeling strategies and patterns, and that will result in certain techniques which you would follow, which you can follow, so that you can alter your thought process. That is what we are trying to attempt through NLP. Okay, so we are trying to alter the linguistic and programming aspects of our mind. Okay, if you are ready, we can test one technique actually. Shall we practice it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes from all, or is it only
Yes,
from
sir.
Purnima?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
shall we practice? Okay.
Sir.
Fine. So it is all going to be in the mind. Just listen to my voice alone. Okay. So it is for this techniques. Various techniques are there. I have also given a source for you. It is nlptechniques.org. So if you visit that source, there are a lot of techniques there. There will also be a lot of techniques from our reading material also. Okay, so there are many contributors in this field. Over a period of time, each and every one, with their experience in coaching and other things, they have shared the various techniques that they have used when interacting with their clients actually, and they have told their own techniques. Okay, one of the earliest techniques, this Robert Brandler, whom we were discussing about, has said something about a technique called swish technique. Anybody has heard of it? Anyone? SWISH, swish technique. Okay, so that is what we are going to practice actually. Okay, so fine. Uh, Now I'll show you an visual. Please register that in your mind. Now I'm going to move the order. Now the noise of the waves are registered. You need not interact with me. Just follow, and just you imagine whatever I say, and you can imagine everything in your mind calmly, slowly so that you will get a feedback of how this NLP techniques work. So first of all, register the waves sound in the back of your mind. I'll play it once more. The sound is now registered in your back of the mind. Okay? Imagine that you are standing in front of this sea on the shore. You are standing where the small waves hit your feet. So that is the place you are standing. And you are looking at the entire sea actually. And also see there is a line of horizon which you would know. This is an actual imaginary thing where the sea and the sky will tend to blend with each other. But in reality, it is not. But because of our distance, viewability of distance, we will see a line where the sea and the sky will tend to blend. So that is the line of horizon. It is there. So also focus on the line of horizon. Okay, there are waves, sound of waves which are at the back of your mind. You are standing in the shore where the water here and there, and less often it hits your feet and goes back. And you are also looking at the sea as well as the line of horizon. Okay, now please take your left hand and just rise it to the level of your shoulder. In a folded position so that your palm will be at the level of your shoulder. Just take your left arm folded and stretch your palm so that your palm will be at the level of your shoulder. Similarly, do it to your right hand also. Don't stretch your hand entirely. Fold your hand so that your elbow is hitting your hip and the stretched palm of your hands are at the level of your shoulders. So do it the same for both the left hand as well as the right hand. Now imagine anything which is undesirable for you. It may be an object, it may be a person, it may be an occasion where you felt ashamed or you want to forget that occasion, or if it is any situation where you have exhibited some undesirable behavior which you wanted to remove from your memory. So it can be anything. Having decided on that, now try to picturize it in a form of a small postcard size. Traditionally, we used to get the photographs like postcard size. So try to picturize. If it is a person, imagine the image of the person. If it is an object, imagine that object. If it is a situation or occasion or some behavior, then try to picturize it and have it in the size of a small postcard. This you should have it in your left hand. Now, make that image which you have it in the left hand, that is the image which you want to remove from your mind. Okay? make that image more colorful. Make that image brighter, as bright as it can be. Now, slowly enlarge that image for which you have given color and brightness and vividness. Slowly enlarge to the size of an A4 sheet. Now enlarge still further so that it covers the left portion of the entire sheet of the shore in which you are standing. Now you are holding an image in your left hand, an occasion, situation, person, or object which you wanted to be deleted from your mind, and that is being held in your left hand, and that is very bright, very vivid, full of colors, which is, covering the sea on your left side. Now leave it as it is. It should be there, enlarged, bright, vivid, and colorful. Just hold it in your left hand, and it should cover the entire left side of the sea. Now start focusing on your right hand. In your right hand, there is nothing now, right? So now you imagine any person, object, or situation, occasion, or a behavior where you have exhibited positively that you want to replace in the place of the negative thing which you are holding in your left hand. Something you want to remove from your mind that is enlarged, that is very bright, and that is very colorful, that you are holding in your left hand. You want to delete that and replace with something else which is positive. It may be an object again, maybe a person, maybe a situation where you felt happy, maybe an occasion where you exhibited a desirable behavior, or an occasion where you have achieved a desirable outcome. Picturize it, have it in the size of the postcard in your right hand. Now add color to that, bright, vivid colors. Make it brighter, more brighter. Slowly enlarge it to the size of an A4 sheet. Then make it as large as the image you are holding in your left hand. Now you will not be able to see the sea entirely, though you are standing in the seashore, because these two images are occupying the left side as well as the right side. In your left side, you have something you want to delete from your mind. In your right side, you have something you want to put deeper in your mind so that it is replaced with the negative thing you want to remove. Now, just minimize both of the images you are holding in hand so that you can look at the line of horizon. There is a place in the image which you are visualizing. There is a place where there is a point at which the sky and the sea water merges actually. So imagine that line of horizon. So make your images smaller enough so that you can view the line of horizon. Now, in your imagination, focus on the center of the line of horizon and mark a dot. Mark a small dot or a small hole there in the line of horizon. Having done that, you should do one thing, but don't do as I say. For the first time, listen what I say to you, then I will repeat it the second time, then you can do it. Now focus on the image to your left hand. That is something you want to remove from your mind. It is now bit enlarged. It has bright colors. It is bright and vivid. Now reduce the vividness. Reduce the brightness. It should have colors, but it should be in dull colors. After doing that, remove the colors from it. Let you see that in black and white. Everything, do it to your image which you are holding in your left hand. In your right, you should have the usual enlarged, colorful, and the brightest of your positive thing which you want to replace with. In your left, the negative aspect which you want to remove from your brain, please remove the brightness so that it looks dull. Remove the colors also so that it looks black and white. And now, even reduce the intensity of the black and white color so that it looks pale gray. Very pale gray. Having done this, wait for my instruction. I will ask you to do one thing. Don't do as soon as I say. For the first time I say, listen to what I say. The second time when I repeat, do along with my instructions. What you are supposed to do now is you should have that image enlarged. You are having it enlarged, but you have reduced its size so that you can see the line of horizon, but still it is enlarged. Now, sometime back, you imagine a center point in the line of horizon. Kindly focus on the center point in the line of horizon. You are now going to throw the image which you are holding in the left hand to that center point in the line of horizon, but you should throw imagining what I say. When it is in your hand, it is large, but when you throw into the sea, to the line of horizon, to the center point it has, you have imagined it should go like a small dot. So in such a fashion, you will have to throw. So again, I repeat, you are now going to throw the image which you are holding in your left hand. So when you throw it to the line of horizon, to the center point, it should start its journey like a large image which you are right now holding in your hand. And by the time it reaches the horizon, it should turn to a small dot. Please throw the image that you have in your left hand with the swish sound. Shh. It should go with the shh. Now, when it reaches the center point at the line of horizon, now it has become a dot. But still it is there. But the thing is, it is in its very miniature form. Now focus on the image you are holding at your right hand. The same thing you are going to do it to your image at the right hand, but don't make it gray, don't take the colors off, don't take the brightness off. When I say just throw the image you have in your right hand, but the only difference is you should enlarge it, you should not enlarge it, or you should not reduce it to the size of the dot. You should reduce it only to the size of a passport size potato when you throw it into the line of horizon. We are ready to throw it back. The image you hold it in your right hand, again with the swish sound, but it should not turn into a dot, but a small passport size photograph size. Throw it with the swish sound. Shh. Shh. You have thrown. Now both the images are there in the center of the horizon. Which image is it your friend? The image you want to replace in your mind. The positive image is there at your friend. And the negative thing which you want to forget is behind that image in like a small dot. Now you need to take back the image which you have thrown from your right hand. While taking back, now when you threw it into the ocean, threw it into the sea, it has reduced to a passport size. Now when you take it back from the horizon point, you should take it in the form of the original shape you have imagined that picture. Enlarged, hiding one side of the sea with bright, vivid colors and all those things. Take it back with a swish. Now imagine holding that image in your right hand. Okay, we will close this with a small breathing exercise. Hold it in your right hand. The image which you want to now replace in your mind. And be sure the image which you want to remove from your mind, the occasion, the behavior, the people or object is now only a dot at the line of horizon, and it is now sinking. And you in your right hand, you only have the image which you want to remember. In the place of the image, you have thrown it into the trash, and that too very enlarged, bright in color, and more vivid in color. Now let us take a small breath in with the count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We will have a breathe out at the count of 8. Hold the image in your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With the image in your hand, come out of the shore and come to your original world. Can I have feedback from someone how we experienced and how it was? The exercise is done. Now you are in your actual world. You are no more standing in front of the show. You have come back. Can anyone tell how it was like, how you felt like? Were you able to concentrate or you faced any difficulties, anything like that?
Sir, I felt relaxed. I
Okay,
felt I have removed some burden or a load from my
okay,
mind.
fine. Somebody else?
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, what I felt is the negative aspect was I was finding difficult, sir.
You're finding it difficult to
No,
remove
no,
it.
actually, no, no, it's still there. There was a burden still there. But when you try to throw it out and imagine like a dot and all, no, so there I felt a little bit of difficulty.
Okay, fine. Anybody else?
Yes, sir, I'm feeling relaxed with all these thoughts. No negative thoughts.
Okay,
Just trying to overcome negative thoughts. Feeling
okay,
relaxed.
fine. Anybody else? Like Binu ma'am has shared any difficulties you have faced and all those things. Why today I am not hearing from persons who contributed a lot in the last session, like Nikit sir, Gomati ma'am, there was one English faculty.
Yes, sir. It was very
Yes, it was
relaxing
okay.
yeah, I felt so all the work pressure and everything, the stress is kind of relief now. I just my wife came over to see what I'm doing, so I was just explaining it to her.
Sir, Maharajan Kari sir, last time contributed very insightful thoughts and other things.
Sir, it was refreshing. This is Gomati.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have little cold. That's where I was
Okay,
not
okay.
that
Fine.
much. And it was refreshing. And when you first switched off that background, even
Okay,
then, when you switched off, also, I was able to hear it in my background.
okay,
That
okay,
I realized and refreshing. And
okay,
also, sometime when we got relieved also when you were telling that in the line, see the
okay.
line where
Mm.
horizon. So it was refreshing all the more when you asked to see that, and we were getting refreshed, relaxed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See, for your information, this swish technique will not have immediate results. Okay, what you turn now threw out in the ocean, probably for a little elongated time, you may feel that that is gone out of your mind, because now we have spent some time trying to remove that out of your mind, and you may have a feeling that it is out of your mind, but you know it means it will come back. That negative thought is not permanently removed. For it to be permanently removed, what are the three keywords I told you for NLP? The three P's I told you for NLP. Anybody? In the last few sessions we discussed, there are very three key essential P's which are required for
Practice.
Practice,
yeah,
patience,
practice,
persistence,
Persistence.
yeah, practice, patience, and
and
persistence.
persistence.
This, if you want to totally do away with the negative thought which you are trying to remove, probably somebody of you have imagined a person, somebody of you have imagined an object. It is all up to you. It is, this technique is the same and it can be applied to anything you want to remove from your memory and replace it with something in the place of that actually. Okay, right. So you can do it for any purpose actually, but this has to be repeated at least 3 times in a day, in a gap of 5 minutes, and it has to be practiced at least for a month to totally get away from that thought and replace with the new thought. Okay, those, the switch technique is a proven technique. What we have done now, for most of you, it would have given a sense of relaxation, or you might have felt that some burden is gone. But sometime back, sometime later, you may also get back that thought. Don't get surprised whether the technique has failed. The technique has not failed. The technique clearly says this is a technique which will work out when you practice at least 3 times in a day and at least for a month. Okay, and it also depends on this month, and 3 times also depends on the level of intensity with which the negative thought or the image or the person has got into your mind. I think the principles of learning. There are 2 types of memory where we store our learnings. What are the 2 types of memory? What are the 2 types of memory?
Short term and long term, sir.
Short term and long term memory. If it is in your short term memory, if it does not have gone deep in your unconscious mind, it will be easy to remove actually. 2-3 occasions a day, a month of practice can totally get you out of that. But if it is deep rooted and has entered your long term memory, and all of things which have entered the long term memory, it is very difficult to erase. Still, you will be remembering your KG teachers, most of you. I think you all will agree. People who have taught you KG and all those things. Still, you remember them because that was your first years of education in school, and those person tend to create an impact, and they have entered your long-term memory. So if you want to remove such occasions and all those things, if there is any negative thing you want to remove from that thing, which has deep rooted and deeply seated into your long-term memory, it will take more practice. So that is why I said NLP is all about patience. You should not lose patience, because the second time you are not able to get rid of it, you should not have the doubt at the technique. Okay, patiently you will have to do. You should do it persistently, again and again, repeatedly, and practice. Okay, fine. So shall we move to the next topic we have?
Sir, you will
Yes, ma'am.
share this technique, Swiss technique, you will share it with us, the
Yes, ma'am.
materials.
Yes,
Thank
sure,
you,
ma'am.
sir.
Sure. And some other techniques which I have listed here, in the slide earlier. There is something called Phosphobia technique. These are a very famous NLP techniques. About these also, I will share. Okay, and you can also find these techniques in elaborate and how to practice it. Everything in this particular website also, nlptechniques.org. They have
Thank
given a list of around 18 to 20 different techniques to practice it. Okay,
you. Okay, sir. Thank you.
thank you. So that is all about Brandler's thing, and we have also done. Now let us move to the next aspect, which is NLP's communication model. Uh, what is the general communication model? Everybody of us know, since we are from management and faculty and practitioners of management. You all know what is the communication model. You start with the diagram when you teach the students. What is the communication model of general communication model? Yes, Benina.
Sir, it is
There's always a
connected.
transmitter who transmits, and then there is always a receiver and
Ah,
a channel through which it propagates. There could be a feedback, or it could be one way or a two way.
yeah.
There could
Okay.
also be distortions along the way.
Oh, fine. Yeah. Can you make it in like there is a sender, correct? I think all of you
Sender,
will.
receiver, channel.
Sender, sender,
Ah,
Sender, message, medium, channel,
ah,
decoder,
okay.
decoding, and then receiver.
What about that encoding part has missed?
Yeah.
So there is a
Encoding.
sender. Yes.
encoding,
Uh,
sender,
yeah.
encoding, and then decode and then receiver, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Then feedback response. Okay. So this is the typical model we all know. Now we will see how this NLP communication model is and how it will work out. I'll show you the chart. This chart will also be given to you as a part of the reading material. Okay, try to interpret. Just have a look at it, and I want somebody from your end to just explain what is this all about, because it is very self-explanatory. So you can take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to watch. I think the image is clear and legible. You can read what is there. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Just have a look at it for a couple of minutes and tell what you infer from this communication model. Then I will add upon the missing parts so that we will have an overall understanding about this model. For your support, start with the red color box in the right. That is where it starts, and it ends again with the red color box in the bottom of the right.
When something happens in the environment, in the external environment,
Okay.
we catch those extra the whatever is in the external environment. It is registered. Sometimes we delete, restore, and generalize those
Okay.
events via our filter.
Okay.
Maybe it is a language or a situation, memory. Then it is created internally like a picture, sound, feeling, smell, tastes,
Okay.
thus creating our behavior, which
Okay.
creates a behavior
Okay.
pattern, which
Okay.
results in the word which are sent back through the filters. This is the model which I have
Okay.
perceived.
Okay.
I would like to take an example of what happened to us in
Yes.
the first class. Can I? May I? From
Yeah,
what you
please.
taught us?
Please.
Okay. I had read about NLP, but what stayed with me was when you told me it is a subjective experience. So there was a new territory that was drawn in my mind. I had a territory of my own. I had made my own definitions, my own understanding of it. In the second class, when you said that, it kind of stuck to me very hard. So I was like, yeah, this is right. A lot of times we kind of use technical jargons, but putting it in a more simplest way like this helps me apply. That's the territory that I drew for myself. With each territory, what happened in the last week, when my team members were responding to certain tasks faster, when they were not responding to closure on some, I took a moment to pause and understand, or rather, I would always ask them, why did you not do it? And maybe this time I said, I want to know how can we do it together and why did we not do it? What's running in your mind? So I kind of understood their territory. So
Okay.
when I understood their territory, my filter got better. That means, my belief system about why they didn't do, what were the challenges, what I could do better, rather than blaming it on them, why I took it on me. So I made some powerful decisions, and I used language of course, positive affirmations, but there was also a thing saying, this should be the last time that we're going to do. Through this, what happened was I presented some numbers, so I used a few visuals and used certain words and evoked certain feelings to them, saying, if in case we don't do it, the whatever the overall goal that we were working, we will all fail together. So this kind of taking them to a state of being productive to a day when you would be unproductive, that switch kind of helped me to create a behavior that was desirable. And that's
Okay.
how I achieved the result. So
You will
just
get
on.
much clarity. You have already hit on the nail. Okay. You will get much clarity by the end of this session, where we will discuss about some presuppositions and frames of NLP. You can still practice better. We will be giving you inputs on that. Okay. For the time being, let us take this for everybody others. There is something outside us, the territory. Okay. Territory here is nothing but there are lot of sensory inputs which we are experiencing actually. Okay. So territory doesn't mean an land or something like that. It is, as Santosh rightly told, it is like the a space we give it in our mind for certain things. That is actually the territory, actually. Okay. So, what is this outside us? Everything which happens outside us is the territory. Okay. And last class, I asked you somebody about something about selective attention and selective perception, actually. You
Correct, correct.
remember, right? We don't
Yes,
take
right.
in and we don't give importance to all those which is happening around us actually. Only things which are of our concern or the principles of perception, things which are different from others, things which are odd from others, and things which moves a lot. So such principles are there for our brain to get attracted towards that particular thing actually. So only that we choose and we process in our mind and we would proceed it further. So that is the difference between outside us, the territory, and something happens, an external event in the territory. Clear? So this outside
Yes, sir.
us, the territory is like things we skip because of our selective attention and selective perception. Marketing people, on an average, how many advertising communications we receive? An average person, he receives more than 2,500 marketing communication, an average person per day. Okay. By now the numbers will be more because now we are into also this digital media. So whenever we look at a web page, there are a lot of ads popping up and all those things. But we don't, place attention to all those things. If we are in search of something related to that pops up, then we start focusing our attention. So that is the difference between things happening outside us, the territory, and a thing happens, an external happens within the territory. Okay. So with our selective attention and perception, we select those events. So once we select those events, look at the numbers. There are 2 million or more bits per second received by our senses. So we receive this information of what is happening in our territory through our five senses. And we definitely know the five senses we discussed in that neuro part. So we have these five senses, right? So once that enters, we tend to engage our mind in three things. Either we delete, distort, or generalize. So, what is this deletion? Some information which we don't like actually, be it, you have accidentally or thinking it otherwise, you have placed focus on that particular happening. That once after you have received that, that is not your cup of tea. Okay. See, I always have a craze for cars, so especially a particular model in Volkswagen. So whenever a car passes by, I just look actually. But I don't remember all the cars. But if that particular car passes, then that gets there in my memory. The other car passes, I delete, because you cannot hold a lot of information in your brain. Though your brain has an huge storage capacity, you would not like to store everything, so you delete certain things. Something, that is where the perception is. Can somebody give the exact meaning of perception actually? Exact meaning of perception, what is perception actually?
Actually, the perception is nothing but how we give meaning to the environment by way of our five senses, how we feel, and based on our beliefs, values, and our thinking and our feeling. Based on this, how we give meaning to the environment.
It is exactly right. But my next question to you, ma'am, is perception always the reality? I think we had this discussion in the last session actually.
If the
Is
perception is
perception reality?
not the reality, it is
Not
all
the reality. It is
not.
what we think is happening now. It is our own meaning. It is not the real meaning, actually.
Yeah.
Fine. So you can have a lot of examples in your day-to-day life, actually. You should have seen it the otherwise, but the real fact is something else, actually. Okay. So we also tend to distort what we receive through our senses. Okay. Right. Number three is, when some reinforcement happens, we tend to generalize certain things because we don't want to allocate different compartments in our brain for different types of inputs we receive. So, what is this generalization? Can you give me some generalized statements we use? Few of the very generalized statements
Suppose
casually we use. Yeah.
suppose there is today there was a heavy rain in the morning, then we can say that stating a part of Chennai, if there is a rain, we can give a generalized statement. There was a heavy rainfall today morning at Chennai.
Can you just translate into something about behavior and assessing others, people? Because NLP is all about people, right? So,
So,
generalizing about it. Yes, Nikit, sir.
so sir, somebody who is probably suffering from a disease, but we may not be aware of it, and we may make a snide or a remark unknowingly that that
That
guy
is
is fat.
distortion. Distortion. Generalization. Okay.
Um, Hearing that, okay, when I was overseas on work and one of them said, "You come from the land of Salman Khan."
Okay.
I felt that was a big generalization. And someone else also asked me that in another country that do we also have elephants, camels, and horses running here and there because they had watched Bahubali. So that was again distortion, but generalization is thinking that only certain part of India, like I come from the southern part of India, so I eat idli dosa all the time. So that's a big generalization. I
For
might be
all
eating.
North Indians, people who all come from the South are
They are
Chennaians.
Madrasis.
Madrasis. Okay.
Madrasis.
Madrasis. For all South Indians, people who come from even nearest state and other thing, North Indians. Okay. So, but there are deepest north, there is East India, there is western part of our country, but we don't distinguish anything. Even if a person comes from Rajasthan, which is our western part, we call them North Indians. Okay. For all those come from south, hail from south, there is deep south, which is Kanyakumari, but it is also Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad, Karnataka is also considered as south, and Kerala is also considered south. So you all generalize it's a Madrasis. Okay, you eat idli sambar, but Catholics we have a different. You have a different kind of food, kind of thing, and Kannada you have a different thing. I have been to Hyderabad
Right.
for some time, where their tiffin was something entirely different. That sambar idli was totally different. Okay, so this is what we call it as generalization. We have generalization about group of people.
Yeah, sir. Based on the place where the people live,
Live.
suppose they say Coimbatore people are known for hospitality. And
Ah,
similarly, extreme south from Tirunelveli, Madurai, they are very friendly people. It is known based on the place. We give the traits to the people, and it is
okay.
also true to
Okay.
some extent.
There
Yes.
is always people in southern parts of the people who are not friendly. You can take example of me. I belong to Madurai. Nearby Madurai, I come from Teni. Okay, and people in Tirunelveli, they are stamped as being at the same time friendly. At the same time, they are also known for their this assertiveness and all those things. Okay, but not all people are like that, but we tend to generalize because we don't want to see this person comes from that place, this person is different, that person also comes from that place, but that person is different. We don't want to allocate different compartments in our mind. Okay, so we generalize on certain aspects. So these are the three things we will do. Any of these three things we will do when we receive a sensory input from our outside world. Okay, I'll take just 10 minutes to take a break. With this model we will close for break, then we will continue. Okay, fine. So how do you do this deletion, distortion and generalization? We obviously do it with our filters actually. So what are the filters? Our preference for what is this VKA? I think everybody you will be knowing. V stands for what?
Visual,
Visual,
auditory, kinetary, and
Visual, auditory,
yeah,
and kinesthetic. Okay.
kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. VCOG.
Okay. Right. So our VKA preference, the language, the linguistic we use, the kind of memories. Somebody have a short-standing memory and somebody have a long-standing memory. Ma'am, we discussed on that first class. You said, if I scold some student, they will just don't mind. But I said, there are people who have it back in their memory, and even after they meet after a long time, they come and say,
Oh, I
It's clear.
am not able to hear. Is it the same for others?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are ready, sir.
okay, sorry for the inconvenience. It was a small technical glitch.
Yes, sir. We are back.
I forgot to put it on the charger. Okay, fine. Just we will start from where we left. Okay, so we use our filters. I mean the linguistic part, our thought process, our visual, auditory, kinesthetic preferences, the own language. Here, that language is how we give meaning. The process of giving coding and meaning to what is the input we have received through our sensory inputs. Then our memories, time space coding, our values and beliefs, our previous decisions, or meta programs. Meta programs are nothing about thoughts about other thoughts actually, or other thoughts which has made up this thought. Okay, and attitude. So with this, we come to give a meaning for what we have received. Okay, and as I have already told, we can give meaning for any sensory information we have received only in 6 forms, right? So those are the 6 forms which are listed here, and that own words are missing. Okay. Excuse me. So we can give it in forms of pictures, which is visual, sounds, which is auditory, feelings, which is K here, kinesthetic here, smells, olfactory, and gustatory, tastes. Okay. So based on this, we create our internal representation of what has happened in the territory. Okay. See, it all happens within seconds in our brain. You look at somebody there, and you want to see, like, you want to feel like what he or she is up to. Then immediately your brain will process, okay, this is what he is doing. There is no need for me to intervene. He's doing something wrong, I should intervene. So all this happens in a fractions of second. But how that happens, for us to understand, we are taking this much time to understand the process, the way our brain processes information. Okay, so so these are called the internal representation. As we have discussed about perceptions, it is not what actually happened, it is what you have understood has happened. That is your internal representation. It is not what actually the person has done or told. It is what you have understood that person has told or done. Fine. So that is your internal representation. That is why we call it as IR, internal representation, because it is our own representation, not the exact reality. Sometimes it may be the reality, sometimes it may not be the reality, because perception is something, it is our own process by which we tend to give meaning to the external happenings actually. Okay, so by practicing NLP we are trying to be more realistic also. So that is one another benefit of NLP. By trying to understand the world better, which is around us, we are trying to be more realistic so that we don't, you know, unnecessarily distort, unnecessarily generalize, or unnecessarily create wrong internal representations of something which happens in the territory. Okay, right, fine. So this internal representation is the map of the world. Map in the sense here it is nothing but in NLP terms, map and world means what is our own understanding of the things which have happened around us. What is our own understanding of people's behavior around us? What is our own understanding of people's emotions around us? So that is the word, and what meaning we have given is the map. So that is what we call it as the map of the world. When we discussed about the frames of NLP, we will get to know much better about this map and what a world is and what is a territory is, all those things. Okay. For the right now, for the time being, we are not talking about the map in geographic sense. Like map is the meaning we give, and the world is the event where it happened. It is outside. Okay. So this will affect our state, our mood states. Okay. So if we perceive it positively and it gives a positive sense of feeling, then our mood state and our feeling about that will be something different. If that disturbs our mind, it brings in some negative thoughts or negative emotions, then our state of mind will be affected. That in turn will also affect the internal representation and our physiology, not psychology, physiology. How many of you have shivered when you have experienced fear? Most of us, right? So, how many of you have heard your hair stands in your arms stand when you are excited or something like that? Okay. So, it also affects our physiology. Why do we cry? And why do we cry even when we laugh? So there is always a mind-body connection, which we will also discuss shortly. Okay, so it will affect this internal representations as well as our physiology. Okay, so thus creating our ultimate behavior. Okay, behavior towards the happening that has happened in the world, for which we will get some feedback actually. Say for example, you would have scolded a particular person uh, for assuming that he has done something wrong. Okay, after receiving the scolding, he or she would have clarified you that there is nothing wrong he has done and it is out of his control. So now the cycle repeats. See, based on the feedback you have received on the behavior, now you will change the impression you have created about that person. You have thought one of your colleague is not good at you and he's speaking ill of you and all those things, and because of that your behavior with that particular colleague is distanced. Okay, we all have our own methods of conflict resolution, right? Whenever we face conflict issue, somebody will try to power over them and win, and somebody just to try to avoid actually. So because of that you are engaging in behavior, but over a period of time you come to know that that person is not what you have understood. That person is something different. He is very gentle. Instead of being, you have thought him as arrogant, but over a period of time, you understand he is not arrogant, but he is assertive. Over a period of time, you have understood that he is not hurting others, but he is very straightforward in his opinions on others. So he tells openly everything. So when you get feedback like that, then your impression about that person will entirely change. So that's why it is like a cycle. You look at this part, yeah, again it enters your filter, and it goes to your you know this internal representations, and now the internal representations will change. That is why our behavior towards a particular person, whether it is friendship, relationship, or anything, it doesn't stay the same for a longer period of time. It often switches. how many of you have lost your I mean the lost in the sense, how many of you have broken your friendship with a good old days school friend? Many experiences we have, right? And quarrels between couples, sometimes there are quarrels, and after then there is something, a time of romance, and again quarrels, again time of romance, or and over a period of time not talking to each other. Okay, we will stay away from each other so that we are happy alone. Then okay, I cannot live without you being alone, we cannot continue like this. There are all changes, so behavior is not consistent. It changes depends on the situation, it changes depend on the responsive feedback by the other person actually. Okay, so this is how the communication model of NLP is, and this is how it works. Any thoughts or any value additions on this, or shall we proceed to the next concept? Anything?
No, sir. Proceed.
Clarifications? Yes, ma'am.
Proceed. Proceed, sir.
We can proceed. Okay, fine. We will now move to the okay. I wanted to show you this video. Okay, this is a video on how we filter. Okay, how different of us filter. Most of you would have seen this video. If you have already seen this video, just try to relate to this concept of which I am trying to look into. Okay, just have a look at this video. Just to give a different perspective of how different of us filter information. What if Newton, when Apple fell on his head, you all know the story, he discovered this theory of gravity and all those things. If he has thought it in a different sense, or the same apple fell on a different person, he would have thought it differently. Fine. So this internal filtration process and the way we process information will be, different. Okay. So that's the whole point in that thing which I wanted to share this. And one more. Just wait a moment. This was actually research conducted. How our brain is tuned to certain particular behavior. Probably this video is not, but there is an original research conducted. In a particular office, they removed that skewels. They use it in the doors, right? That clamps which they used to fix the doors to open and close actually. That screws and skewers, they have removed it entirely. So how will the door look like without that? So it will look like the door is closed and it is planked. Instead of being able to open, the door is what you say. It is nailed against the frame. So they have removed the skewer solid, okay, and they have changed its side. From the left side, they have moved it to the right side. So most of the people felt that they tried to open and all those things. So they felt that the door couldn't be opened at all. It was a real experiment held in 1970s to prove how people are accustomed to the way they think, and how it is very difficult to change the people's thought process and all those things. Okay, fine. So we will move to the next aspect. What are the neurological levels of change that can happen through our practice of NLP? Okay, so as I told you, change will not happen immediately. It takes a lot of practice, persistence, and all those things. At what levels it will change? Okay, I want someone of you to, correlate this situation to your work life. All of you, you can clarify with your work life. Does anybody have a subordinate who is underperforming? So we can take that change and relate it to. It is not to uh, demine that person, just for our understanding in this forum. Okay, you need not mention the name. You can just tell like does anybody have an underperforming subordinate, or whom you think is underperforming?
I had one.
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
You
Yeah.
had one. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
With that, we will go about understanding this neurological levels of change. Okay,
Sure.
fine. I think it is little bit blurred, but it is from Bateson and Dills. Okay, fine. So your employee, that underperforming subordinate,
Yes.
so that what are all the actions of failure you observed?
Uh, our work involves writing content, so his content did not have newness in it. The
Okay,
stories were not well connected.
okay,
They did not have depth and learning.
okay.
It did not
So
have the maturity that it had to have.
okay. So what is the result expected from that particular candidate actually? It role
Uh,
involves.
okay, by the end of every month, he's expected to write at least two new training programs on
Okay,
any topic of behavioral and management skills, and
okay.
deliver those training programs with a grade or with a score of minimum 8.5 and above from the
Okay.
participants' reaction.
Okay, right. So that is the result and environment. Okay, that is the result expected of them. Okay, but
Correct.
actually he was not able to deliver that particular results.
Correct.
Correct, sir? Fine.
Right.
So that environment here means the work environment. So how's your work environment like? You can be it can be both physical and the colleagues part, people part of the work environment. By
Right.
people's part, you mean the support of supervisors, colleagues,
Right.
subordinates, and all those things. By physical work environment, you mean to say the office furniture, the space, the facilities they are provided with, the internet connectivity, even. Okay, so that is all that. Fine. Now, this expected result is not being attained by that employee. Okay.
Right.
So he was supposed to attain certain results that he is not able to attain. Okay. So, what was the behavior of that employee? Like, you think it from that employee's perspective, and you can tell, sir.
Sure. Um, his behavior was very positive towards the feedback. And
Okay.
second, he would genuinely make an effort to understand the feedback but
Okay.
everything has to be like if he has written a write up, every line, every grammar rule, all that have to be broken down and explained to him. He will
Okay.
listen to it, but
Listen to
he's not at a Bloom's taxonomy level of being able to create. He was not
create.
able to create. He had no attitude problems. He was very affectionate towards all the colleagues. Everybody loved him, even when he was put on a performance improvement plan and then eventually he had to leave. Everybody felt for him and he also felt for everyone.
Right.
So there was no
It's
behavioral issue. There was
uh,
no disconnect. It was surely a competence gap from him, which he also accepted.
I'm sorry for intervening. I have
Sure,
just taken all your points, but
sure,
here by behavior, I didn't mean his behavioral changes or something like that. How
sure.
he would have felt internally because he was not able to achieve the results.
Oh, yes. Okay, this is a very
From
good
his
question.
perspective,
How he
yeah,
felt.
yeah,
Okay,
how he felt.
he had uh, okay, he felt miserable because you know he has been an ex-serviceman, so they're not used to taking failures or not able to not do certain things. So he used to feel very miserable, and sometimes I've occasionally see him. Somebody is so elderly, also break down in meetings, especially in review meetings. Though we don't yell, scream, and all that, he would cry for himself, saying, "I'm troubling you all with so much extra work when you already have." This was his constant line. You guys already have so much, but in that I'm adding to all of it. That was his.
Now, you put yourself in the place of that colleague, which Santosh sir has shared. All of you, you put yourself now so that we will try to understand the levels of changes we will have to undergo when we want to become a new us, actually. Okay? See, first, there are certain results which are expected within the environment which is given to us, within the work environment and within the facilities, and within that limitations which are provided to us, we are expected to give certain results. If we are not able to give that results, we will engage in certain behavior, like we will start feeling about why I was not able to achieve. Others were able to achieve. Why it is not so? What is that lacking
Correct.
in me? And
Correct.
if that behavior feeling you have got, will that be exhibited in your personal life also?
Surprisingly, Professor,
Yeah.
when he was going through all this, right? I'm giving you a real case study, okay?
Okay.
So he met with a very major accident because we all work from home, and he was thinking something about something that he had to accomplish, and he was very sure he's not able to do it. He met with an accident at a very important juncture of his performance improvement plan, which was very crucial. He lost out on some time, so we would all feel sorry for it. He had so many bruises on his face and stuff. Yes, it was getting displayed in his personal life as well.
So obviously, it will also get displaced placed in our personal life also. So we will start realizing that something is not okay with us. Something is not okay with the present situation of mind. So that realization is the first level of neurological change. When we are not able to attain the results we are given with. So here doesn't take only the results of your targets or something like that, not work performance and all those things. Okay,
Okay.
it can be
What
work
next?
performance, it can be your own behavior modification efforts you are putting to. In my case, I can say it can be my diet plan I'm trying to work out with. Okay, so
Yeah.
results for, since you are all professionals, I took the example of a workplace. It can be also from your personal end, where you try
Oh,
to patch up with your soulmates or some relatives or something like that. So results
yeah,
can be
Professor,
anything.
it so had happened. Uh, he had had a very bad marriage as well, and his previous work assignment, or in the previous job also, he had certain problems. And again, in this, he said, I don't have problems like I had here. Here, everybody is supportive, but he's not able to bear up. So he would constantly sometimes call me abruptly late in the night, 10:45, 11, 12, and just sometimes cry and say, I just wanted to talk to you. And by the end, he had also written it in himself, saying, I'm destined to just have broken things in my life, is what he used to say. I would say, no, it doesn't, not necessary like that. And one day he got a little, I think, drunk, a couple of more
We
drunk.
did have a colleague like that who used to send us late WhatsApp messages. Morning, all he will be cheerful with us and all those things. And by the evening, we would have had a cup of tea and vada and all those together. We'll go back to home. But for our surprise, by 10 o'clock, we would all receive a message like whoever has gone to for the tea with them, we all will receive the same message. Nobody of you is respecting me, like you are all taking me for granted, such sort of thing. Okay, fine. Now let us all put
No, Professor,
ourselves.
so true. I mean, I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but because
No,
I'm able to find answer, uh, we would a lot of times tell him that nothing really matters. It's okay if this work stops. We will all still be friends. What had happened was he had written it deep down in his mind that he had problems with his siblings. He was in his early late mid 40s, so he had problem with siblings. He had a broken marriage. His work career was bad. So he'd constantly written it off himself that that he will never get anything correct. Though we would tell him so many times, it's okay, you can still make it. You were so right. The identity itself he had lost. I told him, you were somebody who fought for the country. You've been in such powerful positions. Not everybody is destined to do all those work. Maybe we are destined to do this well. If you put us in such extreme environments, Siachen and all, we can't survive. You've done those. This job is okay if you're not able to manage. But he had written it off on his identity about his life. So disheartening. Thank you for this.
Okay,
Sorry,
right.
I
No issues. It's a discussion forum actually. We are learning to mutually learn from each other. Okay. Now you put yourself in this place actually where you are not able to gain certain results. Okay. So we have tried to take an example from Santosha just for our understanding, but don't confine it only to the confine the change you are trying to attempt only to your professional life. Think of your personal life as well. Okay, even your financial goals or something, or your long time goals. So a result which you are expecting. Okay, and that to be achieved in a particular environmental constraints in which you are there. So the first stage of realization for this neurological changes, like, just give me a moment. Okay, of cold actually. Okay, fine. So your behaviors, it will get reflected in your behaviors. You are not able to achieve your results. So every morning, the result I was not able to achieve is reflected to me every morning. And you know how. When I try to tuck in and when my pants, are tighter than the before, it was difficult to buckle up, then I will understand, okay, my diet thing I have not worked well. I have not taken any efforts to bring about the results. And you also know to which length I think men will easily understand to which length to which loop the belt will go after it has been rounded up. Okay, so I measure the distance between the loop and the end of the belt and understand. Okay, nothing has happened. Okay, fine. So every morning, yeah, yes, sir, Santosh.
no, no, good one, good one.
Okay, right. So it will all be exhibited in our behaviors. Okay. So then what we do actually in turn when we are able to not achieve our results, and that is being exhibited in our behaviors, and we are coming to know that our behaviors exhibited are not the desired outcomes. This is not I want to be, but because I was not able to attain the results, I am exhibiting such sort of behavior. So what will you try to do? The answer is there in that. the next level, what will you try to do?
We will develop skills and
You
abilities.
will try to develop the skills and abilities so that you can change your behaviors and attain your results actually.
Results.
You will put forth in, this is the place where, most of us fail actually. That is where, there are some people who are able to attain results and some people who are not able to attain results. Okay. And you should take, like, you should work on with skills and abilities, like Santosha told, that problem of that colleague, he, right, he should have worked, he should have moved to the next stage, like upskilling his skills and ability, then he would have become a performer, right, sir?
No, he tried his best. Okay,
He tried his best.
he
Okay.
tried his best. There were a lot of times, Professor. It so happens that when somebody's put in a PIP or something, they give up and they either resign or they have a lot of resentment, saying this is not fair. He owned it up throughout. He held his ground. He tried hard, but it's just, see, you cannot bring in creativity and artistic excellence over a period of 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 1 month, 2 weeks. It takes consistent and persistent efforts
That's what
that
I
he did not realize.
That is why I told NLP, you require a lot of persistent efforts.
Yeah,
Just overnight, when I say you need to upskill abilities and all those things, I'll tell you, a short experience of mine. Every evening I'll
sure.
have. See, my problem is like not overeating actually. I'm addicted to particular dishes and especially this oil snacks and all those things. Okay, I can live without this food, rice and other things for any number of days. Okay, but I cannot live without snacks and chicken. Okay, so every evening I will have a target, like from morning I would skip everything. I don't take breakfast. I just have a cup of tea and one vada or something like that. Afternoon, similar, a cup of tea or a juice. That's it. But by the evening, when I go back home, like it will start. That hunger drive will start. And when I travel back, lot of shops which are known to me are there, and lot of shop owners are also known to me, because for every new shop I'll be the first visitor and I will used to give opinions to others. If you are
Good one.
looking for this, go to this shop. If you are looking for that, go to this shop. When my director, when we plan for some get-togethers and all those things, he tells, have a word with David. He will tell you the solution. Like, he will tell you where to go and all those things. Okay, fine. So that is where it lies. Sometimes I go for 3 to 4 days. I can keep up and I go home straight away without taking anything. And at my home, something will be ready and I will try to sleep with that. But the fifth day or the sixth day, everything loses out of control. Back to stage one. So that is where in you putting the skills and abilities, when you want to grow up your skills and abilities, my kind and humblest request is, don't think the results and changes to happen immediately.
Sir,
Wait,
here
wait.
I would like to add one word.
Oh,
I
yes.
think you have told, sorry to interrupt.
No,
I
yes, sir.
think here we
No
need to
interruptions
work
at
on,
all. Just go ahead.
I think we need to work on 3 P's: practice, patience, and persistence.
So that's what I'm also telling. So you don't try to overnight. You cannot improve your skills overnight. I cannot bring in that controlling ability actually. Okay, so overnight you cannot expect changes. The skills and abilities, when you try to grow up to meet this, change your behaviors and thereby change the results, keep that 3 P's in mind: persistence, patience and the practice. Okay, then you will have a new belief and value system about it, because now you are bestowed with skills and abilities. Either earlier you would have thought that I am not able to achieve this result, I am not achieving this goal. Now, after having the skills and abilities, after having working on the skills and abilities, if you have improved, then your beliefs and values will slowly started changing. And that is where you realize the beauty of NLP, that you will get a self-confidence that I can do it and I will be able to do it. If not today, sometime after, I will be able to do it. Now you have a new beliefs and values. You're getting it? So beliefs and values are, what you call it as it is a perspective, right? There is nothing like beliefs and values. It is all our mind's perspective. Okay, what I believe is my belief. What you believe is your belief. Once you scale up in your skills and abilities, you will get your new beliefs and values, so that you will have a confidence that you will be able to move towards those results, and that will give you a new identity about yourself, which will which will result in connectedness, that you will be able to achieve your results. So these are all the levels of changes in NLP that we will have to work on slowly from, it's not an overnight thing. I think you would have heard of the story of a particular cake, where it should be baked for so many days. It has to be kept in this thing for this many days. And after that, it will take at least 3 days to come out with that cake. So it's like that. It is like that. NLP is like that. Changes will happen slowly, but once changes started happening, and if you could persistently catch up to that, and if you could realize what has gone wrong and what has worked out well, and if you could focus on that, then you can easily move up to the next levels of changes in second, third, fourth occasions, actually. Okay, so anything left on this, or we will move to the next thing?
I think we will move to the next
Okay,
one.
fine. So we will stop today's discussion with this frames of NLP. Okay. So you all know what is this frames? Frame is something, in most of the theories they give, assumptions and all those things, right? In economic theories, we have got assumptions. And even in Maslow's theory, he has, it was a beautiful theory. It was really a wonderful theory. The only thing I think where Maslow failed is by giving that assumptions, actually. Without that assumptions, Maslow theory is one wonderful theory. Everything was factual. What are the assumptions he gave? First, I'm sure like everybody knows about Maslow's theory, what he told. Somebody
Yes,
can,
we know, sir. We know, sir.
okay. For others who don't know, can somebody very shortly tell? I think Gomadi ma'am was proposing.
Maslow started with the basic needs first, and he said food, cloth, shelter is required. Once the basic need is satisfied, the person goes to the next need. Am I right, sir?
Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am.
Uh, Basic needs, then physiological needs. Then, if the physiological needs, he need a workplace to work, he needs a job, so he moves to the next level. And
Security needs, actually.
security needs, yeah, exactly, security needs. And the fourth is the once he achieves the security needs, he is not satisfied. Then he wanted some status. Then he goes to the esteem need.
In between, one is missing. Love needs, actually. Social relationship,
Yeah,
family,
yeah, yeah.
and
No,
I.
I have missed it. Yeah. Social needs. He wants to get belonging. When he is working in a company, he wants to have an affiliation.
Yeah.
So that is the social need. Then, after achieving the social need, one is not satisfied. That's what is the assumption of Maslow. So he moves to the next need, esteem need, where he wants to realize, where everyone has to realize that he is working in such a position where his status is known to everyone. So he wants to be very proud of that position. That is the esteem need. As soon as the person achieves the esteem needs, he goes to the next level, that is self actualization. Self
Okay.
actualization is something, a position wherein a person achieves contented in his life. Yeah,
Purpose of life is achieved. Okay.
yeah.
This is otherwise called as the hierarchy of needs theory. Okay. Everything Maslow said is right. If you just have a look at Gomadi man's thing, what he stated is very right. We are the basic thing we need is the food, clothing, and shelter, physiological. Then once we have adequate space for this food, clothing, and shelter, okay, we may move to the next thing, and job security and all those things. Then marriage, relationship, and all those things. Then status in the society, and finally achieving the self-actualization. Most of the CEOs have now started practicing yoga. They have their own startups where they encourage kids in farming and other things. Everything is stated is right. Okay, but he said certain assumptions. What are the assumptions he told? That he said these are some of the rules of this theory to work out. What are the rules he told?
I
Because
think
of
he
the
said,
rules. Yeah, yeah. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
he said, I think unless the lower needs are satisfied, he will not go to the
He
next
not
level.
go to the next stage, which is a faulty one,
False,
right?
false, false.
I usually ask this thing in there. Does a beggar who doesn't have yet satisfied the physiological need, will he not fall in love with someone? Will he not
Yes,
expect for love? That
yes.
is where it failed actually. Okay, so
Yeah.
like
He also
assumptions.
believed
Yes, ma'am.
step by step progression.
Step by
He
step
always
progression
strongly said that step by step progression happens in
happens.
one's life, and he strongly stood for that. Okay.
But we have simultaneously we have this needs in existence, and simultaneously we also satisfied the needs, right? So this is where the assumptions he failed. So but here we are not working on assumptions. These are the frameworks. These are the essentialities which should be there if NLP is to work out. There are 5 such frames for NLP. With that discussion, we will close, or if we are exceeding the time, I'll sharply close by 5:30. We will discuss tomorrow. Okay. We will not compromise on the understanding and mutual knowledge sharing for time and coverage of contents. I think that is not the intention of this group. I think. Okay. It is not the quantity of inputs you have got. It is the quality and the other practical applicability you would appreciate. Okay. So assuming that, I would proceed. Fine. That is an activity for you. Please have a look at it, and once you are ready, you can start sharing. You can state any worries or problems you face, anything which you wish to achieve but you are not able to achieve, anything you wish to change but you are not able to change. It can be anything, and you should give reasons for that, and all those reasons should start with because. I will say one for example. My biggest problem now is my overweight. Okay, so I'll state uh, because my wife doesn't cook good food. I'm seeking food at restaurants and hotels, and I'm eating wherever I can eat, and that is why I'm not able to keep up diet. So similar kind of you should give. Take couple of minutes, and you can start giving.
Yeah. Anything you wish to achieve, but not able to. Okay. I need to start with because, right?
Okay, you need to start with because that should be the reason for any of these three. Any
Okay.
worries or problems you face.
Okay,
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 fine.
sure. I've been wanting to enroll for a gym for 3 years now. Because it's a pandemic, I kind of feel that I'm not able to join.
Okay. Anybody else in such? This is the thing we are expecting. Similarly, somebody else. I think all of you can share. Vinu ma'am.
Yes, but I have something for like something related to my lifestyle, sir. Like I want to get up very early in the morning, but due to other commitments, like I go to bed very late because of other work priorities that I have. So I'm not able to do that, and it is really a problem because it affects my health also.
Okay. Purnima ma'am.
Sir, I want to do yoga every day in the morning, but I will not. I'm not doing it regularly because sometimes I wake up late,
Okay.
and that disturbs because of my getting up late. I will not be able to do yoga because I have other things to do once I get up late.
Shruti ma'am.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Yes ma'am. Yeah.
I had a class and office,
Okay.
and I had to close it because of the lockdown. Many
Okay.
people are there, many learners are there who want me to reopen and restart with everything. But now I'm not able to do the same. I have
Okay.
switched to online classes, I have switched to online academy, but now I'm not able to do that because of lockdown and all the situations. I had to pay the rent of a closed shop, of a closed
Okay.
flat, and
Okay.
I could not start it again.
Okay. Ruby ma'am, you are about to tell something.
Yes, sir. Same thing with
Yes ma'am.
me that I wanted to achieve but not able to do it because of lockdown. And then I myself got down with COVID because I
Okay.
wished that I should do it and I went out. I got caught. Then again, I'm not able to achieve anything.
Fine.
It is all natural, but we have to accept it, no, sir. We cannot be negative.
Yes, yes, actually.
We have to
Thank
accept the hard facts of the new normal, isn't it?
you. Yes, exactly. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to share, or we will move slowly? We will move. The first frame in NLP is called cause or effect. Please don't take notes or something like that. I believe you would not be doing that actually. Okay. So anyway, these are going to be part of your materials. Okay. So the first frame in NLP, these are all basics like we need to work on as if, that as if attitude we need to have, and we need to work. Anybody can brief on this? What does mean cause or effect? And I have told C is greater than E here. So how does it relate to NLP and our discussion about frames for NLP? Somebody? Yes, sir. Santosh.
Extra weight implies COVID. Stay at home, eat and work. So cause and effect is that for me.
Cause and effect. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to? Okay. Fine. Uh, I'll tell very slowly, and because we will have to understand it in the right sense. Okay. The problem with I will not say a problem. One of the difficulty we face when people who are learned is they easily tend to give their own meaning and try to understand in their own senses rather than what it is to be. I told in the last session also, we have the highest ability of closing the gaps. Even if it is a circle in a dotted thing, it is not actually a circle. A circle should have no starting point and end point, and it should be wholesome. But even something is missing, we tend to connect the dots, close it, and say it is a circle. Okay, okay, fine. This cause or effect in terms of NLP is in life, in the situations we face, and in our behaviors and other things. We can either be a cause of it or we can be an effect of it. I'll repeat again. In our life, in the situations we face, or in our behaviors and in the results we wanted to achieve, we can either be a cause of it or we can be an effect of it. Now, look back at the slides which I have given earlier. Here, you face some problem, you wish to achieve something, but you are not able to, and you wish to change something, but you are not able to because of certain reasons which you yourself have quoted. Right? Are you traveling with me? Right? You yourself have quoted. So, you are a cause or you are the effect of it? You are the
We
cause
are
or
the
you are the.
cause.
Cause
We are
you are
the we are the cause.
I am not asking whether you are the cause of the problem actually. You are not the cause of the uh, undesirable outcome. You are the victim of the undesirable outcome. That reasons you quoted are the cause. You are not a you being not able to achieve the desired outcome is the effect. So here you are the effect. Those are the causes. You are not able to get up early, right? Somebody told, and that is why you are not able to do your exercises properly. I think Purnima ma'am, you told, right? You
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to you practice yoga every day, but because of sometimes you are not able to wake up early because of that cause. Not able to wake up early, you are being the effect of not able to do yoga.
Yes, yes.
Fine. And me, because of not being able to control my food habits and all those things, is being the effect of that particular habits. And because of that, I am bulky, obese, and because of that I have my own physical constraints and all those things. So I am being an effect of some of my behavior. Fine, understood all of you? Okay, so on, and I have quoted next that we should be the cause, not the effect. Cause should be greater than the effect. Okay, that other behaviors, other situations, and other things should not be the cause on being as the effect. We should be the cause of changing that, and we should turn that as the effect. Okay, we should not be the effect of somebody else's undesirable behavior. So what will be the effect of somebody else's undesirable behavior on you? If you have faced it today in your office or workplace, you'll get annoyed, somebody will get irritated, somebody will show that anger at home. So you are being the effect of that particular person's undesirable behavior.
My maid took unplanned leave.
Okay. You may also plan for an unplanned leave. You may go for certain places to relax also. Okay, right. So you are the effect of somebody else's cause actually. But you think of you being the cause. Can these becauses which you have told, can't you not work out? Pandemic is okay, a reasonable thing where we don't have enough control. Getting up early, Purnima ma'am, can't you work out?
Definitely, definitely, sir.
Definitely you can work out, right? Then you will become the cause. Okay, you will cause the effect actually. Okay, I like to ask also Binu ma'am. Don't think that this is why I will not open the mouth. In something I tell to this person, he will take that an example, put it all into his content and all that. Please don't think like that. You are actually contributing to this only. Okay, we are trying to mutually understand it. Minimum you told because of some of your commitments, you are not able to go to bed early, and because of that, your lifestyle and you are facing some issues and all those things. Can't you prioritize your time? If you can work, can you prioritize your time? You can make it manageable to go to bed early and wake up early, have a healthy lifestyle. Minimum. You can do, right? So this is the first frame in NLP. Don't be the effect of something. Okay? Don't be the effect of some becauses. Don't be the effect of some causes. Don't grant situations take control over you. Don't be the effect of these situations. Okay? Instead, you take control and be the cause. From because, you should go for being the cause. Okay? So how do you take that, bring about that change? First, you should take responsibility. Okay? So what is this taking responsibility? Instead of putting the blame on something else, I should look at, what is that I should improve on. Fine. Instead of putting a blame on my wife for not cooking, actually, she cooks actually, but unfortunately, the dishes will be poor actually. That's the reason I don't eat at home. But given that part, she's trying to help me with some healthy thing. You know, she cooks purposively with less oil, less salt, less spices, and all those things for my health. Okay, that I should understand instead of blaming her for not cooking, and that is the reason why I eat outside. Okay, so I should take responsibility for my own behavior. I should understand there is healthy food available at home that is specially made for me, that is specially meant for me, but I am not utilizing it. I should understand my own uh, pitfalls. So that is taking responsibility. When you take responsibility, it gives you empowerment. So what is this empowerment? In organization, you will all say like, we need empowered people, we need
Take
empowered
charge.
people.
Take full
You
charge.
take charge. When you take responsibility, you feel yourself in charge of yourself. You take charge of yourself. That will happen only if you take responsibility. Okay, so it will give you empowerment. So be the cause, assume you are the cause, not the effect. So this is the first frame for NLP. If you, these are the, what you call, prerequisites for you to understand, if you want to take up this journey in NLP actually. Otherwise it will be meaningless. Okay, fine. First frame done. We will move to the next one. Any clarity discussions on this? I think we will have time only to move to the next one more. With that we will close, and tomorrow we will continue. Okay, the next thing, frame is like, results versus excuses. Okay, so I think it is all self explanatory. We should focus on the results, and we should not be giving excuses for not attaining the results. Okay, so look at the line I have quoted: dealing with what is, rather than making excuses as to why it doesn't happen. Okay, dealing with what is the reason it has not happened, rather than making excuses as to why it not has happened. Both have the different meaning. When you explore what is wrong, and what is wrong and decide, you will try to find a solution. Actually, you will be finding a solution. But when you give excuses, this is why it is not done. This is why I was not able to do it. This is why I was not able to submit on time. This is why I was not able to complete it on time. You will not be able to take responsibility, and you will not be able to understand What is that? It is stopping you from achieving the results you are desiring. So the second frame you will have to understand is when you practice NLP, you should focus on results, and you should not be giving any excuses for yourself. When you start giving excuses for yourself, there is something called a comfort zone. So what is a comfort zone?
Comfort zone is a zone in which we were not taking more than what we are comfortable. We don't want to come out of our comfort level.
It is like complacence, right? Can we
Yes.
put it like that? Complacence. We
Yes.
don't take any more efforts. We are, we are where we were, we are where we are, and we will be where we are. We don't move ahead, actually. Okay. And I used to give a simple example like you understand the difference between the lake and the river, right? So, what is the difference?
Lake
River
is not
flows.
flowing, river is flowing,
River
sir.
flows
Flowing. And
constantly.
because of that,
The water
Because of that,
in lake is stagnant. It can
stagnant.
it can stink
It
after
can
some
sting
time.
after some time. Yes. But river water, even we are bold enough to drink river water. Okay, right.
It
yes,
gets cleaned
yes.
because it is flowing. It gets cleaned every now and then.
Absolutely. So that's this framework, results versus excuses. Okay. So focus on results and try to discover. This is the attitude we have spoke about. What is the attitude? Can anyone relate? What is this related attitude here for this frame? We learned about three attitudes, right? So what is the attitude related here? Come on, anyone? Should I list the attitude so that you would select? Curiosity, experimentation, acting as if. Which is the attitude related to this frame of NLP?
Acting as if.
Acting as if. I think it is experimentation, because that
Experimentation.
is where you discover why why you fail, how you fail, and what is that which is stopping you from getting the desired outcome, right? Okay, so this is the second frame. Okay, I think we have time for one more frame, so we would
Sir,
also.
may I
Yeah,
share?
please, please,
Yeah.
please.
Sir, I told you how I had to close my class. I
Ah,
had to lock it down
mm,
because of the lockdown,
yeah,
and it affected my income. It affected my career, everything.
mm,
So what I did was that I explored some other solutions,
mm,
and I started conducting classes online. I
okay,
stopped offline classes.
mm,
I started taking them online, and when I started online classes, I got students from other areas. Basically, I'm placed at Alibag, and I had few students from Alibag and the places nearby. But now I have got students from all over my state,
mm.
and there
Now,
is a hike in my income also.
now look at our own example. We have people from. I am sitting at down south in Tamil Nadu, and there are participants from Delhi. You know, we are from different places. We're able to meet, right? Okay, so you think
Yes,
of the results, come out of
people
the
were
excuses. Yeah,
people
fine.
were in the beginning comfortable with offline classes.
Okay.
They were doubtful whether they will be comfortable with online classes, whether they would understand, whether they would be able to connect. But now they have got habitual to all these things, and now they are happy with online things also.
To tell you openly, like when Gupta sir, Datta sir asked, we will roll out a program on NLP, and I said, like, okay, where should I come? Whether it should be in Bangalore or some other places, should I come and conduct? He said it's going to be online. Then, I was like taken aback, because this kind of topic, this is not, as I told in the first class, this is not a rocket science that we are going to learn. It is just a reflection of ourselves we are going to have. My role is to just ignite the spark, so that you light it up and you bring it out, and so that then I will have to close that with and put it back down into your hearts and brains. So this is what an actual NLP is, how it is going to be conducted online. Then I had a looked at the list of participants. Okay, all learned the people, all learn when it is a I'm just for an sense, take it in a lighter sense. If it is a fresh clay, you can make anything out of it. But what if I have all artifacts which are already made beautiful and crowned with all 22 books, authoring 22 books, authoring 100 articles, and heading a team and all those things, running a consulting services on what do I do with this artifact? How do I further polish it? Okay, but I had this, but that's what I then I thought of like we need to roll it differently. Why not we have it as an interaction and knowledge sharing session instead of just telling this is NLP, this is the attitude of NLP, and this is frame, and this is presupposition. Why don't we share? Why don't we mutually interact? Why don't we all share so that the participants mutually learn not only from the resource person but also from the co-participants? Okay, so fine. So for everything, let us not give excuses. Let us stop giving excuses and start working on results. Second frame. We have 6 minutes more. I will conclude with the third frame. Okay. So please take a piece of paper. Write the name of the person who admire the most. You need not tell me anything now. Just write the name of the person whom you admire the most. We will stop with this exercise because this has to be taken further, and then that frame has to be explained. We will close with this exercise after all your sharing. Then by tomorrow I will start with like why we did this exercise and how is that it is related to the third frame which we are going to discuss about NLP. Okay, fine. So you have all taken a piece of paper. You have written the name of the person whom you admire the most. Don't ask me a question for writing a single name. Why do you ask to write us in a piece of paper? Because it doesn't end here. We are also to move to. We are also going to do something else with that. Okay. All of you have written,
Yes, sir.
or at least in your digital
Yes,
notepad in
sir.
your written. Now write as many as reasons you can find to yeah write as many as reasons you can find to why you admire that person. There will be certain reasons, certain of his personalities, certain of his characteristics which would have made him admire, right? So him or her. So what are all the reasons, characteristics, personality and traits which have made you to admire that person the most? Give an exhaustive list. Give an exhaustive list. Right. You can get ready with the list tomorrow and we will start our discussions tomorrow. Fine. I want to have your opinion on one issue here. Okay. Tomorrow being a Sunday, okay, I thought of having you to take you through an activity which I will do it for my MTPs as well as for my students. It is to teach on a particular aspect related to NLP. Can I also take you through that activity?
Yes, sir.
Because in the Sunday, first part, we will finish this frames and presuppositions. In the second part, after the break, I don't want you to bombarded with some other concepts. Rather than, I will take that exercise. It will be like deciphering code and all those things. It's a HR related exercise actually. And finally, you will crack a word and you will come to know what it is. And with that word, I would conclude on how that aspect is related to NLP and why it is so important. Shall I do it in the way I do it for my students, or should I just share the material so that you will do it? And
I think we can do that activity better.
is it okay with others also?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine, we will do. I have because I will put it in a PowerPoint kind of thing with questions, answers kind of thing, so that we will do actually. Okay. If somebody knows the activity, you can help your co-participants. Fine. Shall we tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Uh, Gopal sir, it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So shall we call it a day for today? I'm leaving you a minute earlier also. It's only 5:29.
Okay, sir, we can call it a
Oh,
day.
okay, fine. Okay. So
Thank you so
Datta
much.
sir is there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
Datta
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for the day 3 session. It was wonderful session as usual, like earlier, no 2 days. Thanks all the participants for your active participation during the session. So we'll catch up tomorrow sharp at 3 o'clock. I request David sir to conclude the session. Then we can go off the air, please.
Okay, fine. I have already concluded with them, and I have also asked an opinion
Okay,
from
sir.
them. I was supposed to conduct an activity, so I sought their permission, and they all said that we can go ahead.
Done,
Okay.
sir. Done.
So since it is a Sunday tomorrow, and
Yes,
the
yes,
later
yes.
part, I just wanted to uh, them to work on
Yes, sir. I
something.
listened to
Okay,
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you so much. So
Right, sir.
let's go off the air,
Thank
please.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, right, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, sir.